Wait, hold on, you're broke? No way, me too! What's going on, guys? This is Miasin, and today I will be showing you around 10 decks that are pretty cheap, so easy to afford. Of course, the currency is kind of relative, so even if I give you numbers, don't take anything for granted. And since we are trying to minimize our budget, unfortunately, some of the really powerful and sought-after staples might just not be included in the majority of these decks, but that doesn't mean that they are unplayable in locals, even regional level. I do believe that with $100, you should, well, 100 US dollars, you should be able to do really well at a regional, potentially get top 8. But before we get into any of that, make sure you like and subscribe. Really motivates me a lot to just be alive, and let's get right into it. Alright, so in the number 10 position, I have a deck that would have been a really good investment if you actually bought the Link monsters before they went up, and that would be Evil Twin. Now, the deck is still relatively easy to kind of get your hands on right now, but obviously it's kind of almost like double the value that it was like months and months before, because people now, they know that Trouble Sunny, I think that's the name of the Link 4 monster, is going to make this deck infinitely better. So definitely the kind of deck that you have to keep into consideration. It's a deck that can play multiple hand traps, multiple staples in general, so if you don't want to spend mad money on like Imperm and stuff like that, you can still buy, I don't know, Effect Veiler, Forbidden Chalice, and these cheaper cards. Now, right after is technically a meta deck, but without Access Code Talker, and that would be Salamandrate. I actually made a video on that, and people were like, ah, yeah, but my boy Access Code is literally worth like 5 times more than the deck, like every single card combined. Yeah, I mean, Access Code Talker is really expensive, and it's a really good card, but I think the Salamandrate deck can still really do well without Access Code. It's obviously not going to be that broken, but still really good. Prank Kids is literally the exact same thing that I'm gonna say. The actual core of Prank Kids is not super expensive, but obviously when you start looking at Access Code and the other hand traps, it's like a rip wallet. Now, Numeron OTK is a deck that's literally worthless. It's nothing in the deck is super expensive, and nobody really plays the deck anymore, so you can actually take people by surprise. You can win locals and maybe win regionals and like remote duel invitationals and stuff like that with Numeron OTK. That's happened in the past. Like, really dedicated players are actually doing really well with Numeron OTK, and it's not even like Zexal band changed much, because if you're going first, you can still make Appaloosa for 4 or Scaldi to maybe draw cards, or not even use Numeron Network, just keep cards in the hand, survive a turn, and then kill your opponent. Now, after that, we have Machina Infinite Track. I know it's pronounced Machina, but I actually don't care. The deck is really good, and again, slept on, so if you want free wins without having to spend everything in your wallet, Machina Infinite Track is a good call. Now, Unchained is a deck that I personally believe is really good, but only if you are really good. So obviously, I kind of suck with the deck, so I don't really do well, but Kevin Rodriguez, Distant Coder, is actually really good with Unchained, so he was able to get some pretty good results with the deck pretty consistently. And Different Dimension Ground is a good card, I heard, because your Unchained monsters, they don't necessarily have to go to the graveyard if they want to trigger, so even if they get banished, as long as they are destroyed, they're still going to be triggering their effects, meaning that, yeah, you can kind of cook the meta with Unchained and the powerful tech cards that you can play in it. Now, number 4 is a pretty awkward one, because a lot of people are gonna be like, nah, it's not even worth it at this point. Altergeist without Imperm, yeah, I know it's kind of whack, but Altergeist as a deck is actually really good, and cards like Solemn Strike, not necessarily going to break your bank, and the Altergeist core itself is already not worth that much. Obviously, you're not going to be playing 3 Pot of Extravagance, but if you can at least maybe afford like 1 Extravagance, and maybe 2 Imperm, and then get like your hand on like the core, yeah, that could already kind of do a lot. But of course, if you have more money to spare and maybe buy a second copy of Extravagance with maybe complete the whole set of Imperm, I actually think this is a little more important. Well, at least you're going to be performing really well with the deck, because as a standalone deck, it's almost in the top 10 best decks in the entire game. Some people are actually arguing that it is in the top 10 best decks. Some people even think that it's in the top 5. I think that's a little too much, but nonetheless, Altergeist is a great deck. Okay, number 3 would be Shaddoll Traps. Again, trap cards are really good because they're usually not super expensive, except for Imperm, but you get the point. Now, trap cards, they're good going second as well. You can get access to a lot of really powerful trap cards that are worth practically less than $1. Like, Dragon Punishment is actually just such an insanely good card. You don't necessarily have to go out of your way and get like Ice Dragon's Prison and stuff like that. You can even play like Floodgates, Solemn Strike, of course, Compulse, Lost Wind, Breakthrough Scale, all those cards, Dino Miscus, whatever. I can think of like so many trap cards that are worth absolutely absolutely less than nothing. And the Shadow monsters themselves, if you're not trying to get your hands on like the invoked extra deck, you should be able to get almost all of the Shadow monsters for literally nothing at all. So Shadow Trap is definitely an amazing, great budget deck. Now number 2, if you watch my videos a lot and if you also know me personally, you would know that this is hands down one of the best budget decks I believe can work competitively speaking, and that would be S-Force. This deck is ridiculously good. Don't sleep on it. Maybe you haven't even ever heard of the deck before. The link to my combo and deck profile videos will be in the description box below, just so you can kind of keep up with what I am trying to achieve in the S-Force strategy. It's worth absolutely less than nothing. I'm talking about the core. You barely need an extra deck. Like actually, yeah, the baby Monarch monsters with like 800 attack, 1000 defense, which locks me under no special summoning from the extra deck anyways. You don't necessarily have to play the super expensive staples. You can kind of play a bit more targeted staples instead. Security Force is extremely good, and if you want to just randomly steal wins from even really good players because they don't really read cards, well, definitely play the deck. And the last budget deck, that one is a little too obvious. It's Burning Abyss Traps. Literally anyone who also watches my videos and keeps up with content on YouTube or Twitch or whatever would know that Burning Abyss Traps is actually rising a lot in popularity because people are just realizing that Fiend Griefing, Absolute King Backjack, all the trap cards that, like, you know, that discard, like Dino-Miscus, Divine Wrath, Phoenix Wing Wind Blast, Karma Cut, etc. Really good because discarding a Graph is not even like a -1. Discarding a Seer, like, it can literally help you to discard a card. Like, imagine paying the cost for something and actually being happy that you paid a cost. Like, yeah, pay me $10 and I'll give you a sandwich in exchange, but like the $10, like, you're paying negative $10. So in other words, I'm giving you money and I'm giving you a sandwich at the same time. Like, it's actually degenerate. It's not like tier 0 degenerate, but you get the point and the metaphor that I'm trying to portray here. Yeah, Burning Abyss Trap, really good deck. So again, if you want those kind of free W's without having to waste every single cent in your bank account, Burning Abyss Trap could actually be the deck for you. But I mean, yeah, that's pretty much it for the top 10 best budget decks of the current and upcoming metagame. Flunderies and Sword Soul are not out yet, so I can't really make any comments on them. And Evil Twin is going to be super expensive when the Link 4 monster is going to come out. That's why I said that it's a great investment now, but the more you wait, the shittier the investment will be. Maybe free money, it's not, obviously not on like the crypto level, but yeah, if you want to at least kind of not lose in value, buy now and not buy later when it's going to be too late. I don't know what you guys actually think of these budget options, but let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time. Peace.